This is our real thoughts on The Wizard. I can't believe we did. I can't believe we didn't think about doing this one earlier. This was like one of the really early popular ones. I think this came like right after Batman Robin review, and everyone.
I think we also hit the perfect time to review this because it was just coming back in the public consciousness.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I really mean when I say, like, you know, what we do takes a lot of hard work, but I mean, like, a lot of why we're so popular really was good timing. I think we really were just hitting the height of the popularity of the whole 80s, 90s nostalgia.
Our generation was hitting that nostalgic point where we wanted to look back at this stuff.
Maybe not the hype, but when it was just starting to happen, and, like, you know, James Rolfe was coming in, other people coming in saying, like, you know, hey, let's really look back and have fun with this, and, you know, use like adult language, let's talk about it as adults and make fun of it in immature ways. But yeah, so The Wizard, the funny thing about it is that when I think back to this movie, it's like, I do think back with, like, fond nostalgia, but not of watching the movie. More remembering the games, and remembering the clothes, and remembering when video games, especially Nintendo, was just everything.
It was
for a while.
It really was when Nintendo roamed the earth. And I know there's going to be some Sega fans who are, you know, but it was Nintendo.
Yeah, Sega had some great stuff, don't get me wrong, but like Nintendo...
not dissing Sega,
had it all. It really was like...
It was Nintendo.
There are some people that had Segas, and there's a lot of people, but a lot of people had Sega. Everyone had Nintendo. Like, everyone did.
It changed when it was Super Nintendo versus Genesis. That got a little different, but early on, it was the NES. And, oh god, this movie just took me back to being like 11 years old and just salivating at the thought of Super Mario Brothers 3. That's the only reason we saw this movie. Had nothing that like, because at first it was just like, oh, a movie about video games, this is going to be great. But it was really that like glimpse of Super Mario Brothers 3.
Holy shit! Like we all just like, when we saw it and they had the, you know, the big opening, like these metal doors, and it opens up, and which is only reason we really wanted to see this movie. I mean, it is as cheap a corporate shill as you can get.
Oh yeah.
And we bought it! Hook, line, and sinker, and you wanna know what? We fucking enjoyed it! Because we were idiots! Well, no, hold on. We didn't enjoy it. We liked that we saw Mario 3, but even back then we knew this was a stupid movie.
Patiently through it.
Yes.
to get to Mario 3.
We liked
to get to what was basically just a trailer for Super Mario Brothers 3.
We enjoyed that Nintendo was popular enough to warrant a movie. We did not enjoy the movie. Even back then, we knew this was bad.
This was at a time when Nintendo was popular enough to warrant a movie. I'm not sure they are now.
Yeah.
you may be able to pull something out of a Zelda, maybe a Metroid, but not like it was back then.
Well, they wouldn't be good back then, though. You can make them good now. You could.
The closest we can get is frickin' pixels.
Yeah. We still haven't seen yet, but...
I don't want to now.
I don't want to either, but...
I didn't realize it was a Happy Madison production.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Once I found out that it was actually that company, I'm like, no. Like, I just thought it
was Chris Columbus.
I just thought it was Chris Columbus and some studio, and that Adam Sandler happened to be in it. I'm like, oh, it's a Happy Madison production. I'm like, shit!
But yeah, it's, so this movie, every kid kind of... It was like the Saved by the Bell of Nintendo movies, if that makes sense. This is kind of what we wanted to be and imagine, like, we either were or were going to become, and then when we look back as adults, it's like, yeah, that's not it at all. We all wanted or thought we were Lucas, although nobody wants a sexual predator.
Yeah, it turns out Lucas...
Some of us became that, including himself.
Including the guy who played Lucas. But, yeah.
The one thing that, there was when we saw that movie and they were showing, like, the Power Glove in the case and everything.
I love the Power Glove. It's so bad.
But we all kind of thought, like... Okay, we're just not doing it right, because Lucas is the master, but that's what made him look like the master, because he was the only one who knew how to use the Power Glove. Nobody else in the world knew how to use that piece of shit.
Well, it was just editing. He really didn't know how to use that piece
exactly.
of shit.
No, but when we were kids, we were like, well, he must be good, because he's the only one who knows how to use that.
It fascinates me that Nintendo between the Wii and all of their little accessories now are as good as they are, because if you look at their history, you would think that they'd be insane doing anything that is off kilter and not sticking to a console, because in those days, all of their accessories sucked!
Yeah.
Like,
those days, I mean, God,
the
Virtual Boy later.
The blaster, that zapper gun, was about the best thing.
That was cool.
That was the closest.
But then we tried like the bazooka with the Super Nintendo. It's like, what the fuck was that?
The bazooka, the power pad, the power glove, fucking Virtual Boy. I mean, they
actually,
all
power
were
pad wasn't
terrible.
bad. Power pad wasn't bad.
Yeah, until you figured out you could just cheat by kneeling on the ground and using your hands.
And it was just like, eh.
No, terrible. So yeah, the fact that they became as good as they did just fascinates me. Just because when I'm watching the Power Glove, who plays Rad Racer with the power? Oh god.
Yeah. No. So it was one of those things where it's like,
hey, you keep
your Power Glove off her, pal.
Your Power Glove off of her.
Yeah, it's like, where did that come from? It's like, well, I'm a boy or a girl. We just naturally we must hook up. Then, do we have anything in common? No, but
we're in middle school. Like, it's the early Wonder Years.
Yeah, like. I bet that, especially when video games are involved and stuff. Although I will say this, like, she could play video games. That would be the one thing. If I was a kid, I'd be like, whoa, hi.
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 The original gamer girl.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, it's like everyone is always like, oh, come on, you know, girls and women play games and stuff, and they do. I really mean it. They were around. Don't get me wrong. They were nearly as many as there were now in terms of like gamer girls back then. Because we definitely knew a couple
back then.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely knew a couple, but there were not that many.
If I were to go through my school and try to remember, you might find one girl in a class.
And then we had some neighbors that were big gamer girls too and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
like,
it was. They were out there, but not like it is now. You're more likely to find it now. But this movie is. It's so. Objectively speaking, it's not a good movie.
No,
let's get that out of the way. But almost in a room kind of quality, it is so strange that it at least works on a just what the fuck am I watching level.
There's this one scene I remember. It's like, well, there's so many scenes like this where it's like you almost see what they're going for, but then you just sort of shake your head. Go, what was that? Like there's one scene where it's like, I don't know, they're just like spending the night or something like that, and he puts on this supposed to be a creepy Halloween mask, but it's not like he hid and went boo or anything like that. He just puts it on and he just goes, hey, and she just turns, sees it, and punches him, and it's just like, what happened?
I mean, the whole.
There's a scene in there somewhere.
It's like 3 separate movies, but you got the video game movie, and then there's the frickin' chase movie.
Makes no sense. What are you trying to bring back our kids, you fucking monster?
With Christian Slater and what was it, Beau Bridges?
Yeah,
like in there, and this weird wormy guy, like, I'm gonna bring back those children. That's me, dude. And I'm like, yeah, I was with you. I'm like, what? How dare you try to bring back our children? And like, that was one of my favorite jokes in the review. It kept cutting to Beau Bridges driving the Batman music, because it was so freaking goofy. And then Spanky, fucking Spanky, the unsung hero of the movie. Can we all agree that Spanky saved the day by taking out the little wormy guy with one of the greatest lines ever? I heard you touched her breasts.
Yeah, man, talk about. Like I said, I mean, like the whole creepy like predator pedophile thing back then. Like it was definitely there, but not as scary in your face.
No,
as it is
but
today,
I remember
but
when. No, I remember.
So when I saw
watching
that, yeah, like I saw that, and I just didn't know what to think of it. And then, like, nowadays, it's like, you could never get away with that line.
There was when I remember seeing it, like, when we were 11, when I was 11, maybe you were 9, the audience reaction was completely split. It was the most hilarious thing, because we were in the middle of the theater, and it was this reaction of, like, people laughing their asses off, like, when she goes, he touched my breasts! Like, half the audience went fucking nuts. They just burst out laughing, and the other half, their jaws hit the ground. Just there was this collective gasp, just like what the hell? And I just remember I had both like. My jaw,
I didn't know how to react.
My jaw dropped first, and then I started laughing because other people were laughing. But I was like, "Wow!"
Yes, I think I was the opposite. I think I laughed.
I think most children in the audience never thought to go that route to get out of something like he touched me in a private area.
Well, and I think mine was the opposite. I was kind of laughing because I knew a funny line. Ha! And I thought like, wait, what? And then that weird follow-up line where he's like, I touched her breast. She doesn't even have any breasts.
I know,
it
just gets weirder.
What the fuck's going on here?
Can't even have any breasts. It doesn't help that he kind of has that creeper look.
Yeah.
About him. And then the ultimate payoff with Spanky.
Good old Spanky saving the day.
You touched her breast. I'm like, this is gonna get dark.
Like, you know what? We got a winner here. We gotta use this joke 3 times because it's worth the 3 rule.
It is so bizarre that there's so many elements of this film that are just so insane that I legitimately enjoyed watching it a lot. When we did the review, even though I'm just like, wow, this movie's terrible, but I'm having a blast watching it. The kid fantasy, I think, of the Power Glove and having this legit wizard kid, who's able to use it and everything, and he keeps it like it's nuclear secrets, like it's got the blast codes, and you turn a couple keys, and he's gonna blow up Paris or something like it.
He is just in 8 bits.
And then the ending, when it finally gets to the Super Mario Brothers 3 reveal, that crazy dude running the show. Hello, my little kid.
Just imagine everyone in the movie is a pedophile. Some of them, it turns out, are. But yeah,
that's honestly if you think of it that way, the movie is way creepier, but it makes more sense. Because that dude in particular is like, are you ready, my little kiddies? He's like the fucking child catcher.
My little pretty.
Yeah, was it my pretties? He's like the child catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I'm like, we have Super Mario Brothers 3 and all free today.
With
Come
cherry
on,
pie.
kiddies.
Universal
Studios. Oh my god.
It's quite an experience, and it's definitely a time capsule back to that time. But in terms of like,
because this, I mean, we drank the Kool-Aid.
We did. Most kids
had every issue of Nintendo Power for probably 5 years straight.
We had the subscription. Yeah,
we had the subscription. We never were the first to have the new game on the block, but we always wanted to be the first. I mean, we really just had sucker stamped on our heads.
Yeah, no, we totally fell for it. But like I said,
so
we at least knew. No, but we at least knew. We liked Nintendo, but we knew the story was bad.
And I think that was the disappointing thing about it. Was I remember as a kid, I'm like, I don't remember like going in to see some movie about some semi-autistic kid. I don't know what his deal is, like moping around trying to get to California. I was just like, I just remember I kept sitting there going, get to the video games. This isn't What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Yeah.
Like play some video games.
The opening is nothing but this kid walking while the credits play, and it's like, this is the Wizard, right? The Nintendo. That's going to open with Super Mario Brothers 3.
That's what's so funny, because as a kid, I'm just like, what is this? I thought it was going to be all about playing video games, and it's this story about this kid trying to reconnect, and he's got, like, he never talks, and I'm like, what?
But
what?
Well, what's so interesting, too, is that the guy who directed this went on to do tons of Malcolm in the Middles, which are, like, in my opinion, are some of the best interpretations of, like, childhood. I mean, just family, the family environment in general. And I thought it's just one of the most brilliant shows ever made. And it's just like, where did that jump happen?
I honestly
doesn't understand kids or family or anything.
No, if you watch the visual design on the Wizard, and I think
that makes sense.
I think if you watch the actual direction, I'm not so sure it's that the direction is god awful. I think the script is terrible. I mean, come on.
Well,
how are you
none
going
of
to
them-
save something?
None of them are acting like kids, but again, maybe that's part of like the Malcolm Mill, because like Frankie Muniz was like the kid genius in there. And
I think if
stuff.
you look at it as if he was prepping to do Malcolm in the Middle someday, that this is him trying to find his voice, you can kind of see it. It's a director trying to find his voice.
Acting a little older.
Saddled with a really shitty script.
Uh-huh.
The best thing he had going for him is that he had Fred Savage, but that's about it.
But even Fred Savage, I mean, like I said, watching.
Well, he's just doing his Wonder Years thing. Like it just.
But even that, I mean, there was something. Watching that movie really did. I mean, I meant what I said in the review, you know, and that kid really had mad talent. Has mad talent now, you know. But it is one of those things where it's like he did act a little too old. He was just like, there's mature kids and everything, but then he was a little too mature. Especially in that movie.
But he was always like that.
No, he was. And Wonder Years, for the most part, they used it okay. Sometimes they went overboard. But in this one, I was just really seeing, like, he does not act like a kid at all. Even Princess Bride. Watch it again. Like, Grandpa, no, it's okay. Sit down. Like,
you don't
talks
feel Frankie Muniz though, like, does that?
No, but he has an excuse that he's a child genius, and even really that whole family, like I said, they worked it in the same way Wonder Years did, because they
this
worked
kid
in
helped to orchestrate a trek across California. You don't think he's a child genius?
They never explained how or why though. See, in a way, I would actually more believe that the kid that's good at video games orchestrated that, because he does have sort of like this one side of the mind that's like a genius mind or something.
Everything is going according to plan.
But I would believe that more. And even the girl is like sort of like, you know, they all talk like they're players in Vegas or something like that.
Spanky!
Yeah, or even like just the, hey, you know, you got a train ticket, gonna cash it in. I mean, it's like none of them talk like, you know, like kids.
I guess I see. I think probably he was going for that, say, Malcolm in the Middle tone. It just didn't come off right. I think that, I'm not sure there's I think this may be part of the problem. I'm not sure this director was trying to portray real kids, because if you, okay, like Lucas. What kid is really like Lucas? And that team of disciples around him, like, this is over the top. He's like video game Jesus.
Yeah.
So I think it was meant to be over the top, and I think maybe this director being fresh and a little green at the moment, like, didn't know quite how to pull it off. I mean, by Malcolm in the Middle, I think he nailed it.
Yeah.
Like, because you can tell, that is pure fantasy, but also really funny. But it also has some family drama, and like, it's got everything.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what he wanted to go for in The Wizard, but between the shitty script, he may not have quite had a...
And probably all the,
tone.
you know, no, now you have to push this, now push this, now push that. I mean, sure, the studio or Nintendo, whatever.
It is like the Marvel movie of its day. It's just like, but I want to tell the story about this kid trying to reconnect with the childhood that he lost because he's been... No! Super Mario Brothers 3! Yeah. No! Put a trailer for the Avengers in there. So, I don't know. But I feel like somewhere there's an interesting movie wanting to get out. I feel like if it was more about the kid's fantasy part of it, it would have been better.
Yeah, strange way, like, making it
And
more about the real family drama and stuff like that. Just, it's...
Yeah.
Like, you can tell the heart is there. I mean, like, you know, even going to, like, the dinosaurs at the end and putting the lunch box, like, it's like, he's got the right, like, sort of feel. It's just, it's in a story that makes no sense.
It's just something no kid for that movie, for that type of movie, wanted to see.
Yeah.
It would be like going into, like, a G.I. Joe movie and getting a heartfelt story about cancer. Like, it's like, you know, you could be like, well, I was trying my best to tell a story that had a meaning, but what child really wanted to see that? It was the same sort of concept. It's like, this could have actually been a decent movie, if you took Nintendo out of it, and if video games were how this kid basically got, you know, was able to express himself, that's fine, but the fact that it's a Nintendo commercial doesn't help. But, like, I could see how it worked, but not in this film. It's like, the tone's not right.
Yeah.
If it was more like Malcolm in the Middle, where it's just like this kid's fantasy, and some moments are, like, they're clearly not in our universe.
Yeah.
That's for goddamn sure. And that's kind of what saves this movie and makes it so hilarious, is you're just watching these moments and you're like, what the fuck?
Oh no, I remember the adults too, like, remember the businessmen playing, like, whatever, fucking Donkey Kong or something like that. It's like, you know, I bet you my kid brother over there can be, oh, go on. Like, a child good at a child's game? Surely you jest. It's just so in its own dumbass world.
We were way past that point where it's like, no, the children can kick your ass. Like, I get that probably would have played better more in like...
Well, especially if anyone's going to be good at those games. The guy in the suit that's clearly like a lawyer, like an 80s lawyer or something like that.
Well, that's the thing. Like, that would have worked better if it were the early 80s or mid 80s where it still was everybody playing video. Like in the early days, you would see like people who were already teenagers playing these and they would still be playing into
the guy was like in his 50s.
Well, no, that's what bothered me. I'm like, this does not work right with his age in this time frame. I mean, this scene would have worked better 10 years earlier. I shouldn't say 10 years, it was only 91, but you know, like 6 years, 5 years earlier. I don't know, but yeah, it's clearly in its own wacky world.
So yeah, it's a movie that, like, if people are still talking about now, it's a very obvious corporate sellout film that tried to have elements of drama, but clearly didn't work or make sense.
Our corporate sellout.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's very much like our, you know, it is like, whatever, probably whoever's watching, it's like your generation's High School Musical or something like that, where it's like, yeah, you know it's dumb now, but it was your dumb. You know, it's like, that was our dumb. That was our, like, fantasy that we realize now is really, really stupid. But even back then we kind of knew it was stupid. But we liked the Nintendo.
Still so insane. I think some parts of it just hold up. And what the hell were they doing?
Yeah, no, it's just so interesting in so many of these choices they make and how much you could not get away with so many of these choices now. So, yeah, it's entertaining. How do I put it? It's even kind of entertaining in its boredom. Even the boring scenes are just so puzzling.
Well, they're mesmerizing in how strange they are. It's just, it's like looking at a puzzle. You just watch and you're like, what were they thinking? If I could get into their minds.
How did these pieces go together? I don't get it. But
Kid Who Doesn't Talk, video games, Fred Savage, Spanky, Don't Touch My Breasts. I don't know, how did these things all fit?
Old Man in Green Speedo.
Old Man in Green Speedo. Beau Bridges, Christian Slater.
What wardrobe was like, okay, we're giving costumes to everybody, they just see the old man, throw that on. I mean, so why? Why? So much why. Too much why to go around. But...
And I did love Ebert's commentary way back in the day about how, like, I barely even play video games, and I know that these things aren't edited right. How'd you go from level 1 to level 5 in a minute? Doesn't make any sense!
I played Ninja Turtles! I know that you do not go... Although, watching it again, I think he might have actually gotten that wrong, because I thought that too when I was a kid, but watching it again, he says, you're still playing that game? He says, yeah, I got to the Mecha Turtle and blah, 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 the last time I played. I think that actually was. Passed. Yeah. No, but it's like, that's what I thought at first too. Because I thought, like, wait a minute, no, that's not the level. But then he said last time. So I think technically.
Ebert, God rest his soul. I don't know if I totally buy that. I would call bullshit on that. He does not seem like the type who have ever played Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
No, I trust he would have.
Particularly the Konami version. The original one. That was damn near impossible.
I will say this, like... He said, he's like, what do I know about video games? Nothing, but I do know I got to level 3, you know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles battling the Mecha Turtles, so when he says, I'm like, no, you did, unless you really devoted time to this, you did not get to level 3, unless you had kids help or you were just watching.
See, that's the thing, I think he was babysitting some nephews or somebody, and like he saw it. Get fired, I have a hard time swallowing that.
No, like any other game, I remember Ninja Turtles and
I love you, Roger,
level 3,
if you're up there.
No, you had helped. You were helped.
I'm not sure I buy it. Now watch, it was like he's calling a dead man alive. I'm just saying, I'm having trouble swallowing that one.
I have doubts. Yeah, no, there it is. It is what it is. It's the Wizard. It has cult status.
Oh, now. It's still one of my favorite reviews that we did too.
It's just for Lucas alone. The chicka chicka.
Well, one of my favorites is you just Lucas, darling.
Yeah, at some point, like we just had like something called like he's reading a magazine. Just in the movie, he just turns his head like a supervillain. We just had chicka chicka.
Yeah, we gave him like his own soundtrack.
Yeah,
It was great.
So yeah, amazing movie. Probably not for the reasons most movies are amazing.
If you want to know what it was like,
good reasons.
if you want to know what it was like growing up in the late '80s, early '90s,
or what we thought it was like.
Yeah, what we thought it was like. It is one of the best time capsule movies you can watch. Because when I think of about, that film come out, was that 1990?
Like 89 or 91.
It was
like
right.
that.
It was right crossing somewhere into the new decade. When I think about that time, I automatically think of The Wizard. So just great time capsule. If you want to know what made us the weirdos we are today, watch that movie.
So that's about it. We'll see you in the next one. Later.